I got my first 1cc on August 15, 2023, almost exactly 2 years ago. In the time since then, I've completed 22 one-credit clears, not counting easy modes. Most of these were clears from games from what I called the Pants list, which was an amalgamated list of shmups ranked by difficulty compiled from the STG Wiki rank list, the Pericles list, and the ZPS Touhou difficulty list. After beating Gradius, I decided I wanted to go back and complete challenges for each rank from just the STG Wiki rank list. This became a little more complicated when I realized that the STG Wiki rank list has been updated a few times from the translated version I had been following over on the Shmupped.com forums. So now I want to go over every clear I've gotten so far, including ones that aren't on any of the lists I've mentioned, review my status with the STG rank list, talk about my plans for the future, and just for fun, I'll also talk a little bit about my personal opinions of the difficulty rankings of each game compared to my own personal experience. I'm going to do this in chronological order of when I got the clears, and I'm not going to script any of the rest of this, so we'll just let it go how it goes. This is my post in the forum topic 1cc lists on the shmups.com forums. This was a topic created 20 years ago, way before I knew about shmups, started playing shmups or anything, obviously. But people have been posting regularly since then, both updating their old posts and also adding new posts, as you can see. So I made my post 2 years ago, but there's another page of people's posts here. Brand new to shmups, so I thought making a post would motivate me to get some more 1cc's, and I have done that since then. I think there's over 20 here at the moment. And this is current with everything that I've done. I guess there's spoilers for my next video about Castle Shikigami 2 down here, which is rank 11 on the STG rank list. I started with Death Smiles. I just made that video, or I posted that video not too long ago and mentioned that I had done that way out of order. So that was rank 9 on the STG rank list, but it was the first clear that I did. And I hope that that's encouraging to anyone who might be newer to shmups and you saw, oh, he's been playing these games for 2 years and that only just now was he able to clear this game. And like, no, like anything from this tier, I mean, honestly, any shmup in general, you could just pick whatever. Like if you want to start with Ketsui and just play Ketsui and practice it, having no prior experience, you can do it. And I bet, I don't know that this is true, but I bet that you could get a 1cc in Ketsui in, less than 100 hours for sure. Like less than it would take you to, less time than it would take you to finish Persona 5. I bet that you could get a 1cc in Ketsui starting from zero experience. I would love for someone to be able to prove me right on that. I don't know that that's true. I think that the bigger difficulty is, ironically because of the name, is the determination that it takes to keep on practicing something that is really difficult. And I think that's why, more the reason why some people start with something a little bit easier is because if you get the confidence boost of getting one credit clear, then you know, okay, so I know that I can do this. This isn't just something that these really hardcore arcade nerds or this dedicated fan base is able to do. Anybody can do these games. I can do these games. That's what Death Smiles gave to me, was it gave me the confidence of knowing that I can play these games, that if you spend time with them and you take the time to learn their mechanics and their tricks and you plan where you're going to use your resources and stuff like that, that you can finish and 1 credit clear a game that at first seems way too hard. Because that's what Death Smiles was to me. When I first started it, I didn't start it planning to 1cc it. I just was playing it because I really enjoyed the game. But as I was playing it more and getting closer to the end, I started thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I actually could 1 credit clear this. This might actually be attainable. And I remember hitting a wall where I was getting to kind of the final stage fairly regularly, but it was just way too hard. I just didn't have enough resources, and I was thinking like, oh man, how do people do this? Like, it just seems way too hard. And you see here in the video, I have 5 life bars where you start with 3. And so there's 2 extends, and I think one of those you get naturally with score, but the other one, you can get from picking up a special item. And I was only able to figure out how to do that by watching some replays and reading a guide that someone had posted on kind of the tricks for the volcano stage specifically. And it was kind of, I had to follow a pretty specific path through the game because you can choose which route that you want to take through Death Smiles. And if you kind of plan it out so that you go to the volcano stage at the right time, then you can sort of guarantee that. And then, okay, so you see this counter down here. When that ticks up to 1,000, you get your special ability, and then there's a point coming up pretty soon. Yeah, I think this is it, where you can get just tons and tons of points because of all the popcorn on the screen, and then it'll drop the life up. It's something like that. I don't know if that the life up shows up specifically if you use that power there, or it's been, I mean, obviously it's been about 2 years since I did this, so I don't remember the strategy exactly, but it was something like that, and that totally changed it where having an extra life, having a little bit more resources made this so much more approachable. And there was a couple other opportunities, I think, to get some extra resources throughout the game, too. And Death Smiles is pretty generous. I think now if I went back, I would probably be able to play through it without having to squeeze out the extra resources, but this really shortened the amount of time that it otherwise would have taken me to get the clear. And I don't know at this point in my shmup career if I would have stuck with it if I hadn't looked up those tricks. So maybe that's one tip that I would give to people, or like to reassure you, like, don't feel bad or like feel like you need to do it all on your own, or figure out all the tricks, or like it's cheating or anything to look up somebody's replays or guides, especially if you're starting out. But even now, like, that's one of the first things that I do when I start a new game is I'll watch somebody else play through it to see if there's any good cheese or whatever to find, to see what the best character is, that kind of thing. Overall, this run isn't great, but I was pretty proud of my fight against the final boss, or at least the first stage of the final boss, Jitterbug, because if I remember right, I think that I did Phase 1 no hit, which was the first time that I had done that, even in practice, which is pretty cool. That's one thing that maybe slowed this run down actually over some other ones, is that I was playing on the Steam version. I wasn't emulating it, so I didn't have save states. I just had the built-in practice mode, which I don't really like because you can't start over where you want, and you have to kind of like manually set up the resources that you have, and it doesn't feel the same as using a save state where you know that this was a point that you actually reached in a run that you had saved. So that's another thing, is because you can play Death Smiles emulated. It runs okay on MAME. I don't know if the slowdown would be emulated properly like it is here, because that's one thing, is that if you didn't have the slowdown, like especially in a section like this, it would be brutal. Look at that dodge. I was maybe a little bit lucky, but I felt super cool at that point. So yeah, so I got through that phase no hit, and I was like, oh man, I'm like the dude right now. And then I go through, because if you don't use any bombs on first phase of Jitterbug, then you get another extend or a life up, or I forget what it is. You get extra resources. But then this fight from here on was super sloppy. You can see I think I used all of the resources I possibly could. Yeah, I was down to my very last life here at the end. But it doesn't matter how many hits you take as long as you get to the end. Death Strike is a game that I haven't talked about at all, and that not many people talk about because I don't think many people have played this game. This is a free shoot 'em up that you can get on itch.io. Did I leave the link to? Yeah, it's by Dark Bits is the person. This is a game that if you're new to shmups and you want to try something, but you don't want to invest any money and you just want to try it out and you want to try something that is not too difficult but is still fun, download Death Strike. It's totally free. It's pretty short. It's a super approachable beginner shmup. Like, this is the game. The STG rank list on, like, at rank 0, it has Karis easy mode and some other bullshit. Like, don't do that. Play Death Strike. It's awesome. It's a, like, quote unquote real 1cc that you can get with no prior experience. I think like in, I don't know, like less than 5 hours probably. Because it was pretty quick to clear, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I do remember that as I kept on playing shmups after this, and played a few more classic shmups like Gradius and Darius, I was noticing things from those games where I was like, oh, okay, so that's kind of like this thing from Death Strike, even though this game was made way later and was obviously influenced by classic Corey shmups. Like, this was the one that I played before I played those ones. I don't have too much else to say. It's a really cool shmup. There's a bunch of different weapon types. It looks good. You can see it kind of looks like Gradius. Maybe a mix of Gradius and like an R-type or something like that. But it's awesome and totally free. And yeah, it doesn't have nearly enough downloads on itch. I think that it's criminally underrated. I would definitely say go check that out. The next one that I cleared was Musha. This was the first game that I played, the first shmup for this challenge anyways, or the first shmup in general that I played on emulator instead of playing a port. I don't have too much more to say about Musha. This is one that I think a lot of like classic shmup lovers really love, and I totally get why. It looks super cool. It has a bunch of different weapon types. To me, I think I'm just not as into the console shmups that I've played as much as I am the arcade ones. I think this is a little bit too long. There's kind of too much downtime. There's like the point where it actually starts picking up and getting pretty challenging is maybe, I don't remember exactly. I would say probably about 15 minutes into the game. And it's like, there's lots of other shmups that like you can play the whole, like your whole 1cc in 15 minutes. In this game, you have to play through all of that before you even start playing the hard stuff. Cool game. I think if you're into console shmups, if you just want a fun game to put some time into, as a 1cc, I would rather play an arcade style game, something that's a little bit shorter and tighter. Okay, this next one is another one that I haven't talked about at all. I think I was just, after Death Smiles, I got really hungry for more 1-credit clears. You can see I got all of these within a few weeks of that first one. And so I was kind of just looking up easy stuff to 1cc. I think this is a phase that some people go through with playing shoot 'em ups. So I specifically liked the idea of cute 'em ups. So I wanted more horizontally scroll. I was especially looking, Musha isn't a horizontal scroller, but I was especially looking for horizontal scrollers with kind of a cuter aesthetic. So Flying Hamster, Corune, Star Parodier, like all of those fit into that category. So Flying Hamster is a PSP game, and it's another one that like it's really unbalanced in difficulty. Like the first half of it, or the first 3/4 of it is really easy, and then it takes a huge difficulty spike. But it takes a difficulty spike because there's a speed up section. Basically, the entire final level is a big speed up section. Oh no, where is it? Somewhere in here, there's a big speed up section where it's just like you have to memorize the exact geometry of the level and stuff. I don't really like that. There was a trick to it where I had to play through the game once to unlock a different mode with the weapons, and then I used that to 1-credit clear the game. I don't remember it well enough. I really like the sprites for the enemies and stuff. I was looking for cute 'em ups for this reason, was that like I think this kind of thing is more interesting than just robots in space, or even just like girl on a broomstick or whatever, just where it's like you're collecting beer as a power up, and there's a kitty cat and then a bat and stuff. Like I think just that visual difference between each of the levels, it's so cool. It's so joyful and fun, and I really like that. Penguins with umbrellas in a desert for some reason, and then you're on some street in Japan with like food vendors and stuff, and so really visually cool. As a shmup, it's like I said, it's really unbalanced. Most of it is pretty easy. I remember the first wall that I got to was looking at it right now, it looks like it should be pretty easy. Maybe it's just that you have to memorize where he pops up. I don't know. Anyway, that's Flying Hamster. I think you can still get that on the PlayStation Network. I think that you can download a version for PS4 that you can play on modern consoles too. I'm not sure about that, but I think you can still play this not emulated, not on a PSP. I played the PSP emulated version though. Now we're getting into Corune. So at this point, I had said, okay, I want to try this video challenge. I want to try going through these games that are listed on the STG rank list. But I had also decided to incorporate stuff from the Pericles list. And this was a game from the Pericles list that wasn't on the original STG rank list. I think just because the aesthetic is so fun, I did like this more than I liked Musha. The boss gauntlet at the end was pretty fun. And I think that this is a game that doesn't really get frustrating because it gives you so many resources. You can take so many hits and you're fine. And you get temporary invulnerability when you pick up power-ups and stuff. Like it gives you a lot of freebies. And the same can be said for Star Parodier, kind of a lot of these early clears that I got. It's a game that would be really hard to no-miss, but is really easy to just clear because it gives you tons and tons of extra lives. Let's jump towards the end here. See, I have 9 here. I had 16 not long earlier, so you can see I made so many mistakes. Like, even for like a Touhou, that's so many extra lives and mistakes. And I think you get bombs for each of those lives too. So you get 3 bombs for each of those lives. So I had like 60 bombs. So like, what shmup couldn't you do if you had 60 bombs to burn through? And way more than that, obviously, over the course of the game. But just in this one section towards the end, if I had thought about it that way, I had 60 bombs to go through. Okay, that's Star Parodier. Really, really great aesthetics. I love that I got to play as Bomberman. I wish that there were more licensed shmups like that, like more shmup spin-offs of other game series. Because I would be super, super into that if there was a Mario shmup, if there was like a Metal Gear shmup, a Pokemon shmup, I would eat that stuff up. Okay, Gekirindan. This is what I would consider to be my first like big boy shmup. Like, it's a vertically scrolling arcade shoot 'em up. And I remember in my video when I was talking about this, I talked about how it's like, oh, I finally learned how to, like be a shmup person and master the shmup. And in retrospect, this is not that hard of a game, but it was so hard to me because it was not similar to the other shmups that I had played. So I was basically starting from zero playing this. Like, not much of my knowledge and skill that I had built up at this point transferred. I had been intentionally playing really easy stuff until this point, so I was not stretching my skills and growing. And it's not a bullet hell, but it's closer to a bullet hell. I guess there's sections of this that I would call a bullet hell. It's sort of, in this era of shoot 'em ups, it's kind of like fuzzy, the line between is that a bullet hell? No, it's okay. It's not really a bullet hell. No, what was there's a jet boss partway through this, and I feel like that one feels pretty bullet. This one here. Am I right about that? Is my memory failing me? I remember I had to practice this so much. This was like the big wall for me when I was playing this game. Not this section right now where I'm literally doing nothing. But yeah, here. I can see I had planned a bomb there, and okay, this is more bullet hell, but okay, I can see, no, it's not really bullet hell. It is more of their Raiden style, like less bullets, fewer, faster bullets. But it does kind of look like almost like an early cave game or a late Toa Plan game. It's kind of got that same style. Okay, clearly I don't have much more to say about this. I was so excited when I got this clear because this was the one that felt the most difficult. I think that I did spend more time on Death Smiles than I did on this, but I was more proud of this one because Death Smiles I played as much as I did just because I enjoyed it that much. This game was, like, I was kind of frustrated with it, but I was determined to get through it, and I really didn't think that I could. But I was still, I just wanted to keep trying, and I was able to do it. And that's the best feeling that you can get from shmups. It's why I think that they've become as big of a part of my life as they are, is because that moment when you're able to overcome something that you thought you wouldn't be able to overcome, that's like a superpower that you can give to yourself, being able to prove to yourself that you're able to do more than you think you can. And I've talked about this before, but that's what's really great about shmups to me. Okay, Batsugun Special. This is a great game. I have recently been messing around with Batsugun Normal. It's one of the options for rank 12 on the STG rank list, which is where I am now. And so I thought, okay, I've played the special edition, so I should already have some of the muscle memory. But it is a lot harder. Like, there's a reason that it's ranked so much higher than special edition. Special edition gives you a bunch of freebies, and I think special edition is also, it's a better game because of it. It doesn't have as many moments where you're gonna take some, they're not unfair hits, but it's like stuff will pop out of nowhere. It's the normal edition is more of a memo shmup, and special edition is more of a skill based shmup. But this was a really fun one, and this was one that I was able to finish a lot faster than I thought. I was expecting it to be harder to me than Gekirindan. And it probably is a harder game than Gekirindan. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but it was way easier to me than Gekirindan when I played it. I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that I had learned a bunch of lessons about playing this style of game from Gekirindan that carried over into this game. And that's a lesson that I learned, is that it's not just the total amount of time that you play shoot 'em ups. It's about the amount of time that you spend playing similar shoot 'em ups. It contributes more to your ability to just jump into a new one and beat it. I found that as I've played more Touhou specifically. I've specifically built up my skill at playing Touhou, but that doesn't necessarily carry over. Especially because Touhou I always play on keyboard, and now every other shmup I play on an arcade stick. Though I don't think I bought an arcade stick until probably when I played Gradius over here. So I bought the 8-bit Do M30s. I was using that for some of these games in here. Like, I think that's what I was using for Batsugun, and I think it's what I used for Darius Gaiden as well. At that point, I was like deep in the paint with shoot 'em ups and with the video series and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna splurge. I'm gonna buy an arcade stick, which was one of the best like video game purchases that I've made. I love playing games on an arcade stick, even though I still think I probably objectively perform a little bit better on keyboard. I prefer playing arcade stick. Like, it motivates me to play the games more. Anyway, I'm getting in the weeds here. Okay, so the next one is Darius Gaiden. This is a game that is very easy with auto fire on and is super hard. Like, I don't know if I could do it now. I mean, I could eventually probably do it now without auto fire, but it would be way harder than anything that I've done so far without auto fire. But with auto fire, I was amazed at how quickly this clear came. Like, one of the fastest to date at this point was Darius Gaiden. I think it was a combination of the auto fire is overpowered. I immediately looked up a video of someone else kind of like doing a route through it, so I didn't have to learn a bunch of the secrets for myself. So I think in total, like, this was less than 7 hours from the first time I played this game to when I got the clear. Okay, Touhou 6. This was my first Touhou normal mode. I think I had cleared 2 Touhou easy modes. I think I cleared 7 and 8 easy mode. And so I was coming back and I was like, okay, I'm going to start from the first modern era Touhou game and try it on normal mode. It's just pretty to look at the patterns in Touhou. It's pretty music and pretty patterns. And it's just fun to just focus on dodging. Gradius, I just posted, well, okay, actually I'm posting these videos very slowly, so I didn't just post this. A few months ago, I posted my clear of Gradius, and this was something that I had wanted to do for a long time, because I had tried Gradius, like, long before I got into shmups. I remember just playing Gradius on an emulator probably when I was in middle school. Like, I remember it was one of the first times that I had tried an emulator, and I was just trying a bunch of games, and Gradius was one of them. I recognized it, and I wanted to try it, and I played it a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is hard. And I put it down and didn't think about it again until I wanted to get into shoot 'em up. So to me, it was kind of like, it was an iconic game. Like, this was the platonic ideal of what I thought about when I thought about shmups was Gradius. Gradius was rank 10 of my amalgamated pants list, and this was the point where I'm like, there's another shmup YouTuber who had, around this time, I had become aware of him, that he was also doing this challenge of trying to beat a game from each level of the STG rank list. I forget his name. I'll put it in the description. But he was just following the the basic STG rank list. And so I thought, oh man, I don't want to get shown up by this guy because he has like the true claim to beating the proper version of the list, and I'm following my own bullshit version of the list. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm going to go back. I'm going to properly play one game from each level. From the current version that is posted on the STG wiki, or at least whenever I did this, I forgot, I guess, on January 20th, 2025. This, I think, is a properly updated version, because a few of the positions of games that I had played had moved. Like I think Darius Gaiden had moved in position. The only difference from the way that this is laid out in the spreadsheet versus the way that it's laid out on the wiki is that for any of the games that had notes that said minus whatever for this, I put the game at the lowest possible rank that it can be and added a plus instead of adding a minus, just for simplicity's sake. So like everything that you see is, if you're using the cheesiest possible strat, the easiest possible strat, then this is where it will be. Otherwise, like if you're using one of these modifiers, then you could rank it up and it could be higher. I said, okay, I'm going to go back, start from the beginning and make it, and like properly do one game from each level of the proper STG rank list so that I can say that I did that. The main reason that I had wanted to add in other games was that there were some of these ranks that didn't have any games that I wanted to play. So it was like stuff like this where I'm like, I don't want to play any of these. So I wanted to add in something of my own. Above rank 10, there are way better options for each of these ranks. And you can, like, every single one of these ranks has like an all-time great shoot 'em up on it. And this is where most of the cave stuff is too. So I think I'll have a much easier time picking a game that I really want to play for each of these. Anyways, but that's why I went backwards to play Prehistoric Isle after Gradius, was that I wanted to be a completionist with the proper STG rank list. So I played Prehistoric Isle, and I'm so glad that I did, because this, out of all of the 1cc's that I've done so far, one of my favorites. This is a great game that I don't hear people talking about or recommending as much. Play Prehistoric Isle. Prehistoric Isle 2? Is this 2? This is Prehistoric Isle 2, right? Yeah. I didn't put that in the title of this video, but this is an awesome game. It looks so cool. It's like Jurassic Park with a bunch of guns, but the art is really neat. The environments that you fly through are super cool. I think it's pretty well balanced. Yeah, play Prehistoric Isle 2. It's awesome. After that, I jumped into Raiden Fighters 2 with Fairy. The hardest part about this, honestly, was figuring out how to unlock Fairy in the MAME version of the game, because normally on a Raiden Fighters cabinet, it was a timed unlock system where the special characters only unlocked after the cabinet had been active for a certain number of hours. Some stuff that you can do in the BIOS in MAME to unlock it manually, but you just have to follow a really, I don't know, it's a tedious thing to do, sort of an obnoxious thing to do. Actually, Slave Ship might also be pretty easy, but all of the other ones are way, way harder, so you kind of have to use the secret ships, or it's going to be way too hard. I remember this was a proud 1cc because somebody had commented on one of my videos when I first started posting videos about the challenge. They're like, oh, you're going to hit a wall with Raiden Fighters 2. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. And so I felt really proud that I was able to do this when somebody had specifically told me that I wouldn't be able to do it. Let's see. Next is Captain Tomaday. This is probably the most unique of any of the games that I've played so far. You individually control each of Tomaday's fists, and it has a really unique upgrade system where there's like, you can evolve into like 20 different characters, and you can get a side ship that changes to different characters too. And so at certain points of the game, you want to avoid upgrades because you don't want to lose your current one. But also, if you intentionally take a hit, okay, so yeah, when you get hit, you first turn into a baby who is super underpowered. But then if you get an upgrade as a baby, you skip to one of the best characters. So that's like a strategy that you can do. You can skip right to the tomato with the wings, which is a really good character. The other notable thing about this run was that I discovered a cheese. If you just go in the final boss and you just go straight to the top with a character that can kind of hit to the side a little bit, one, there's massive slowdown because of all the projectiles on screen and because of how quickly your bullets are colliding with him and making that little explosion sprite there, that you can get in so much, because you're not supposed to be able to hit him here because of that force field, but because this thing shoots off to the side, you can kind of get behind it. And you still have to be aware of the enemies on the side. They have these homing bullets that, if, by the way, if you're not creating that slowdown with a character that shoots tons of bullets, the homing bullets that you have to dodge are so fast, and it's really, really hard. But you can trivialize this boss just by using something that can just point blank and slow down the game and hit him through his force field. And you can basically skip the entire final boss, which makes this a lot easier. Darius Burst. This was a really fast 1cc because it's such a short game. Like, the whole 1cc is less than 14 minutes. This is a game that I was excited to play and get into because the only shmup arcade cabinet in my city is a Darius Burst cabinet. So I kind of wanted to practice on this version and then go and eventually put a proper high score on an actual cabinet somewhere. Which I haven't done, but maybe I will eventually. There's going to be an option later on the SDG rank list to do a different route of Darius Burst, and I might do that because I really like that game. And I like any shorter length shmups because I prefer just having like a short loop to practice over and over versus having to play through 10 minutes of easy game to start playing a difficult game later. Salamander 2, this is an awesome game. I think after... Actually, I can look at my list here. So Gradius and Death Smiles both took me about 20 hours from the first time that I played them to when I got the 1cc. Salamander 2, Salamander 2, it says about 17 hours. So it was about the same, but it took 17 hours and I played it after I had played Gradius and Death Smiles. So I had a lot more lifetime shmup experience when I played Salamander 2, but it still took that long. So it's a really hard game. I think maybe even underranked where it is currently on the SDG rank list. But it's also really fun. I think it's more fun to play as a modern game than Gradius. As of when I'm recording this, in I think 2 days, the new Gradius collection is coming out, and it has a new Salamander game, like a brand new one that they made specifically for the collection, the M2 collection. And I'm excited to play that because this was a really fun game. I would definitely play more of it. Fire Barrel, I don't remember anything about Fire Barrel, to be honest. I remember it felt kind of like Batsugun and Gekirindan. It was that same, like, not quite a bullet hell, but not quite a boomer shmup either. This section with the train being a big section that I had to practice and learn on because stuff, if you're not careful, stuff can come out of nowhere and hit you. It can be hard to keep track of all of the things on screen. That's Fire Barrel. I don't have anything else to say about it. We'll skip Castle Shikigami 2. I'm going to make a video about that because it is the game that I played for rank 11. And then I got into a phase where I just wanted to play through all the Touhou games. So I got normal clears of Touhou 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like, the Touhou games they're all very similar. They're very fun too, very well made. I think that Touhou 8 normal was my favorite so far. It just has some really satisfying patterns to learn. And I think definitely, like, of everything that I've played so far, like, playing through all these Touhou games has been good for just practicing some of the, like, fundamental shmup techniques, like restreaming and recognizing aimed bullets versus non-aimed bullets, or set fixed patterns versus relative patterns. So I think I've gotten better at manipulating bullets through playing Touhou more so than other stuff. Touhou 9, I did something pretty cheesy for this. Like, I didn't really like this game, but I still wanted to be able to say that I beat it because I wanted to eventually 1cc all of the Touhou games. So I used a cheat to unlock, like, the best character, which is Medicine. So it's a legitimate 1cc with that character. Like, I didn't use cheats in the actual run itself, but I did use a cheat to unlock Medicine because normally you unlock her by clearing the game with every other character, which obviously I didn't do. It's like Twinkle Star Sprites. It's a competitive shmup, but I don't know. The game is so relative to, it's kind of luck based with the AI. Because I think as time goes on, the percentage chance increases that the AI will make a mistake. So, like, there's a time gate that you're waiting for, but then there's also a luck component too, and you can never guarantee that you're gonna win over your opponent. Like, it never gets to a 100% chance that they're gonna die. So it's not like a health bar that you're chiseling away at. You just kind of have to survive as long as you can, and it gets more likely that you'll win. I didn't really like that game, but yeah, that's Touhou 9. And then Touhou 10, Marissa B has a glitch where, or I guess not a glitch. Well, I guess it is. Yeah, it's an oversight in the coding that if you keep her power at a certain level, I guess it's between 2 and 3 or between 2 and 4, she does way more damage than she's supposed to, and that makes the game a lot easier than it's meant to be. Like, kind of a cheat, but I don't know, it's still like, it's a thing that you can do in a vanilla version of the game without having to modify it or anything. So I still counted it. That's every normal 1cc that I finished so far, except for Castle Shikigami 2. So let's see, that's in 2 years, I've finished 22 games, and that I can tell you exactly how long that took me as well. Some of this was estimated, but after a little while, I started actually keeping track of, like, I have a little journal where I keep track of the amount of time that I spend playing each game, because I like data like this. So you can see the time that it took me to get the 1cc for each individual game, or the amount of time that I've spent in total playing it, still for the ones that I haven't 1cc'd, like Gundamonium. Some of it's estimated, but most of it is pretty accurate, so I'd say this is accurate within 20 hours, so at 260 hours. Which, if you think about it, like, spread over 2 years is not that much. I don't play shmups every single day. I'll get really into shoot 'em ups for a few weeks, and I'll play a ton, and then I'll put them down for a few months and pick them back up again, which is why my videos are so spread apart, because I'm not consistently playing these games. I'm picking them up and putting them back down again. Like, you could start from 0 and you could play any one of these games and you could get a 1 credit clear. You get a bunch of 1 credit clears, for sure. Like, this is, it's not as scary as some people say. Like, I've spent more time playing Final Fantasy games than I have playing shoot 'em ups. It feels more like I've developed a skill with that time than just experienced games. Not that I don't like other types of games too. Okay, now I'm really rambling, but let's talk about which ones of these I think are overrated or underrated in difficulty. Prehistoric Isle 2, I think that's a great level 1 shmup. Another one that's super approachable, really fun, really colorful. Raiden Fighters 2 is a weird pick here because it's a much harder game that is only this low because of the cheese with playing as the easy characters, either fairy or slave, that it would be anywhere close to this far down. I still think it's probably more difficult, even with fairy. At least to me, it was more difficult. Maybe that's because I haven't played a lot of Raiden-style games. Well, it was harder than Batsugun Special was, for sure. To me, it wasn't harder than Gekirindan was, but Gekirindan was as hard as it was to me because that was like my first vertical-style arcade shoot-'em-up. So this one I would probably put a little bit higher, maybe at like a 3 or a 4. Batsugun Special, I think, is right on the money with a 3. Gekirindan, I would probably put higher. I think it's one that is much less forgiving compared to Batsugun Special, probably a 5. Captain Tomaday at a 4 is fair. It looks easier than it is. It has some sections that can just chew through your lives and resources, though. So you do have to route it a little bit, and it's going to take you some time to learn how to manage the upgrade system. That's probably the hardest thing about it, is the learning curve of how to balance your upgrades, because it's not like any other shoot 'em up. So no matter how many shmups you've played, if you haven't played this game, you're gonna have to spend time to learn its specific gimmick. Darius Burst at a 5. It's probably easier than this because it's so short. Any game that's this short, you can play through the whole thing 4 times in the same time that it would take you to play through something like Musha like 1.5 times. I think that 5 is probably about right for like the minute-to-minute difficulty of the gameplay, but if you factor in the fact that it's only a 14-minute game, you could probably bump that down to a 4 or a 3. Darius Gaiden with autofire. Is this without autofire +1, which seems crazy to me. That can't be accurate. I wonder if I mistranslated this. That doesn't seem like it can be right. It's gotta be way harder than that without autofire. I'd say with autofire, I would put this lower than it is. I would probably put this at like a 4. Salamander 2 is probably a little bit higher than a 7. I would say, factoring in everything else, like with the experience that I was bringing to it, especially the very similar experience, because it's very similar to Gradius, but it took me almost as long, even after having just recently played Gradius and having that muscle memory ready too, that it took me that long. I think that this is probably an 8 or a 9 for me. Fire Barrel, I don't remember anything about, so I'm not going to comment on its difficulty because it was the most forgettable out of all of these games. So that's one thing I would say is I don't recommend Fire Barrel. It's not an interesting game at all. Death Smiles, I think, is perfect at a 9. I think it's a perfect intro cave game, a perfect intro shmup if you haven't played one before. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to get addicted to, and it has multiple routes so that when you're first learning and you're going to be dying a lot and restarting a lot, it's not discouraging because you can have a different experience by trying a different route. Great game, and I think 9 is perfect too. And then Gradius being a 10, I think, is just the platonic ideal of what a shmup is, and it's also sort of the final boss of ranks 1 to 10. So I think it's perfect there. And difficulty-wise, it took me about the same time as Death Smiles, but after 200 hours of playing other shmups before I started really trying this one. So the fact that it took the same amount of time means obviously it's more difficult. I think one thing that I'm going to change, so I am going to be sticking strictly to the regular STG rank list from now on, but I'm going to make a new rule that, so like if I wanted to skip rank 12, then I could play Musha Himisama, Futari, Black Label, and Akai Katana. And then if I did both of those, then I would count that. I'm not going to extend that to like skipping over multiple ranks at a time, but just to skip over one particular rank so you can do 2 harder games instead of 1 easier one. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching the videos. I'll see you next time.